Of course, military working dogs aren't the only members of the animal kingdom that are being called into service for the inauguration. Horses are often seen clipping down the parade route, but this year it's who's at the reins that may surprise you. Coast Guard Petty Officer Adam Eggers has the story.
In September of 1942, a small number of Coast Guardsmen traded their sea legs for spurs. Now again for this year's presidential inauguration, a few Coast Guardsmen are taking up the reins. Having the Coast Guard deal with horses may seem a bit odd, but it's actually not that strange if you go back and look through history. Lieutenant Commander Russ Torgerson has been involved with horses most of his life and is well aware of the service's history with the animals.
The Coast Guard was one of the last military organizations to operationally use horses with the Shore Patrol at the end of World War II. We had several thousand horses on all three coasts, patrolling, looking for enemy submarines and breaching our borders.
Armed with rifles and sidearms, the patrols completed their intended mission. Mounted Coast Guard patrolmen discovered two Nazi sabotage teams from German U-boats on Long Island and in Florida in 1942.
You know, the Coast Guard is such a small organization, and we do a little bit of everything, and people really aren't aware of what we do today, let alone what we did 60 years ago.
The job of leading horse control is not normally a Coast Guard job during inauguration, but Lieutenant Commander Torgerson came prepared for the funny looks.
When you're a Coast Guardsman sitting in a job traditionally held by the Army, and their long historical attachment to the cavalry, you get a lot of ribbing. And so some of my historical World War II photos of the Shore Patrol were put up strategically around the office to remind folks that horses are not new to the Coast Guard.
This inauguration has given the Coast Guard an opportunity to look back into its history and honor a long-forgotten mission and the men who performed it. Coast Guard Petty Officer Adam Eggers, Pentagon Channel News.